sleep is just not prioritized enough. If you sleep too much, you're lazy, and you got to get up early in the morning and get the 4 a.m. wake up routine. But sleep is so important. A lack of sleep it increases insulin resistance. The main focus in diabetes is this A1C and managing the blood glucose. But other factors like the lipids and the blood pressure, the insulin resistance, all this leads to increased heart risk.
Now, forget the pun, but the elephant in the room. Let's talk about weight, right? Because I think I think you made a comment earlier as well. Most people are looking at it from a weight equation on, hey, if I'm overweight or if I have, if I have excess pounds, then there's something wrong. If not, then I'm okay. But we have seen people that quote unquote, look healthy on the outside,
Yeah.
but they're still at risk, right? Why does that happen? What are the main reasons for them being at risk, even though they looked healthy?
So, a big one is having too much visceral fat. So basically, this is the fat that's stored around the organs. It's metabolically active. It pumps out these inflammatory chemicals, and this increases insulin resistance. It increases the risk of that endothelial dysfunction and the atherosclerosis. So you have your skinny fat, which is a term I'm not sure if they're still using it.
It makes sense, but yeah.
Yeah. So, they're starting to say that a better way to look at risk as far as, let's say, body composition is to look at waist circumference.
Okay.
And, we want that to be less than 37 for men and 31 and a half for women. And another way to also look at it is the high hip to waist, waist to hip ratio. So if it's greater than 90 for men, 0.9 for men or 0.85 for women, that greatly increases your risk.
Got it. So there is, again, to your earlier point, the skinny fat, and again, I don't know if it's politically correct or not anymore to use that, but let's for argument's sake that that is the right or the terminology to be used. That it doesn't guarantee that you're healthy. It's hidden, right? Or it's somewhere where it's just not on the surface, but you have to be able to. You should keep an eye on it. You should be actively monitoring some of these other markers, if you will, from a composition perspective that say that. So if someone listening to our discussion wants to make just one small change or big change for that matter, what do you recommend that they just should think about?
Okay, so just one small change for diabetes, I think, is just moving more. And I think the best time for someone who has type 2 diabetes to move is to just sneak in a 10-minute walk after, pick one meal. So if you're just going to do one, and I really advocate for this, starting very small. So starting with a habit that you can do, and, saying I'm going to walk 10 minutes after every meal is a lot, but picking just one meal, putting on your shoes, walk, set a timer, walk for 5 minutes and turn around and come back. It's got so many benefits. It's been shown to reduce that post-meal insulin and blood glucose spike that happens immediately after you eat. It's good for, it helps with sleep, getting movement in. It helps lower stress. And, something really easy and simple like this is something I like to call a gateway habit. So
I like that term.
it's so easy. You pick it easy, you feel successful, and then you
Yeah.
start it can grow from there. And then maybe you are gonna be doing a after lunch and dinner, or you're gonna start looking at other simple little easy habits that
Yeah.
you can change because now you have this success that, yes, you can make these changes.
Yeah. Yeah. So I guess the old adage, right? The small changes done consistently are going to be far more effective, far more powerful than big changes that you do once in a while.
Yeah, and, I there's a lot of if you're on Instagram or you're on Facebook and you're going through these ads,
Yeah.
um, there's and I saw one this morning, you have to do this. This is what you should be doing.
Yeah.
No, what you should be doing is what you can do and what you can do
Fair enough.
consistently.
Fair enough.
I think there's a lot of like people want to have this shock value now, and we have these influencers that are like the ideal, but that those they're few and far in between. And I
Yeah.
bet most of them who say they're doing all this stuff every day probably really aren't.
Yeah.
What it does is it sets people up for
Yeah.
failure because
Hmm.
it's this ideal that not everyone can achieve. And so they set off on this huge plan,
Mm.
and when it falls through, doing everything at once,
Hmm.
they people just give up,
Well,
where
yeah, the motivation, right? I mean, at the end of the day, if you're not motivated to make a change, whether it's inherent or from external sources, or
Yep,
somebody emotionally blackmailing you, for lack of a better term, to be motivated to do that, it boils down to motivation, where people are going to stick to doing what they're planning on doing.
yeah,
And I want to switch gears a little bit, because motivation also goes towards the meal side of it as well, right? And again, we've talked about some of the stats earlier, from the risk perspective, but from the research that I conducted and I was looking at it, I found a very interesting stat which said that eating a plant-based diet can reduce your risk of type 2 diabetes by 23%,
mhm,
and it also has some very strong protective factors towards heart health, right?
yep.
So what I would like to understand from you is, what role does food play into this whole equation, and in managing diabetes, also protecting your heart, obviously, and what is one of the most common nutrition myths that you have heard that you'd like to bust and share with people?
We don't, they it's the old cliche, food is medicine,
Mm,
um, or let thy food be thy medicine. I
hmm.
think that comes from I can't some Greek philosopher, but, vegetables and fruits, like herbs, spices, they all have, compounds which are called
Mm,
antioxidants. And, this helps reduce oxidative stress. So oxidative stress is something that just happens in our body naturally. Um, you know, it's you can't avoid it. It's just a natural byproduct of, metabolism.
mm,
But this oxidative stress, it causes, inflammation. It's a major driver of both insulin resistance and, artery damage. And we get these antioxidants from vegetables and fruits, and also herbs and spices. But, um, eating the food that you eat is gonna because you're eating more vegetables than you are the
mm,
herbs and spices, right? And I just talked about the one habit to start with is moving,
mm, mm,
but I think a close second is just eating more vegetables.
mm,
Not eating enough vegetables, not getting enough antioxidants is associated with higher inflammation and the endothelial dysfunction. And what you see a lot of nowadays are these overly restrictive
yeah.
diets, the keto, and worse is the carnivore diet.
Yeah.
I really think we're going to see a big negative effect of this in a few years. We're going to see rates go up of type 2 diabetes, of heart disease, because studies have shown that even eating just 2 ounces of, red meat or processed meat every day, it raises the risk of type 2 diabetes. It raises, the risk of cardiovascular
Mm,
disease. It's linked to increased inflammation, increased oxidative stress, and, higher insulin resistance. And then you're at the same time, they're also eliminating all these healthy foods, not just the vegetables, but the whole grains
mm,
that provide these antioxidants and, the nutrients and, these other things called, phytonutrients, which are, chemicals that plants make that are highly health protective. Um, and you're also eliminating, fiber,
mm,
which increases this, there's a lot of talk now about gut health.
yeah.
And really it's all connected. So if you're not putting into your gut the right things, you're increasing inflammation, and that translates to inflammation throughout the body.
Yeah. Okay. So let's play a fun game just for a
Yes.
second. If you were to talk to somebody, if you were at the airport, right, and you're traveling and you're at the airport, what would be your better than nothing meal option at the airport, for example? And as a follow up, you're on the road, you're running around, and you got to grab snacks, either at home or stop at the store or something like that. So what would that look like for Valerie? What would you recommend?
Okay, well, first of all, I try to plan ahead. I haven't flown in a while, but even when I did, I would try to sneak in my own, bring my own snacks because it
Yeah.
is hard to
Hmm.
eat healthy on the run. But it is getting easier. I think we're seeing more of like
Hmm.
these salad places pop up. Um, but you still have to be careful there because a lot of salad dressings, you're getting a healthy salad and it's high in sugar. A lot of
Yep.
so you know get a salad or get a bowl like a chipotle bowl or we have Rubio's here, which is it's like a coastal Mexican restaurant, it's
Okay.
called. But and asking getting the brown rice instead
Yeah.
of the white rice. So just making these little switches like this, going easy on the dressing. Another great thing is just nuts, but
Mm,
not too many because they are, very calorie dense.
yeah.
But, just picking up just a package of walnuts, which are high in omega-3, which is another thing that can reduce that risk of heart disease, is eating more omega-3. And fruit. If you can find a fruit, and more importantly, if you can find a fruit and then pair it with a protein or a fat, so an apple with nuts. Or I've seen like these hummus snacks, like
Yeah.
carrot sticks
Yeah.
and hummus. You're finding like that at the airport now,
Yeah.
or at a convenience store. So it is getting easier.
Yeah, and I've noticed that too. I travel a lot actually, so not just domestically, but I do travel a lot internationally as well. And yeah, it does seem to get easier and easier on a regular basis. People are getting more exposed to the healthier choices. They're following suit as well. So based on what you just said, a couple of thoughts, and correct me if I'm wrong, but first is that you talked about the small habit of maybe the walking post meal walking, and then obviously you discussed a little bit about food as well here, giving some great pointers. Is that food is a one of the tools in the kit, if you will, in the
Yes.
grand scheme of things. And combining that with small habits is the one that makes a difference. But at the end of the day, what you eat today is either feeding your disease that you're exposed to right now, or it's going to fuel recovery for you to get
Yep.
better over time.
Or you're
That's kind of
fighting it.
what I get for it.
Yes.
Perfect. Right.
Food, it's very important. It's really every choice we
Yeah.
make. And you can't expect to be perfect.
Mm, mm.
And there are going
Well
to
said.
be I hate to call them cheat meals, but,
Yeah.
and I feel like if you're gonna have that sort of meal, enjoy that,
Yeah.
own it, but the majority of your choices should be keeping in mind that you wanna stay healthy, that I mean, really, it's self-love, it's caring for yourself. I think people get stuck into this mindset that you have to be disciplined and you have to do the right thing,
Yeah. Yeah.
but really it's about cherishing your body and doing the
Yeah.
right things for your body and not only living longer, but feeling better for longer and being able to do the things you love, traveling. And, for me, it was osteoarthritis,
Mm.
about 7 or 8 years ago. It got pretty bad for me. And it's all the same. It's driven by inflammation. The
Mm.
same food choices affect it. And I had to make that decision. Was I going to keep, and it's not even a love for food. I think it's a habit.
Yeah. Yeah.
We become conditioned to turn to food for pleasure, to turn to food as a coping mechanism.
Yeah.
Um, and it is hard, it can be difficult to break, and you do have some people do best making a drastic change, other people do better with small gradually increasing, but it does come down to, in that moment, choosing my joint health or my heart health, or choosing that whatever pint of Haagen-Dazs,
Yeah.
that temporary pleasure,
Yeah.
which is slowly gonna chip away at long-term
Yeah.
happiness.